When these spouses or these men travel abroad, they do not have a work permit, they do not have either a green card, they do not have immigration status that can support them. They are new to the environment and they have no friends. Men are crying, but since they cannot talk, I am here to talk for our men. Hello everyone, welcome to Consistent Place channel. In today's video, I'm going to be starting a series called The Cry of an African Immigrant Husband Abroad. So men who marry wives abroad face certain challenges. A lot of men back in Africa, they always contact others abroad to look for wives for them so that they can immigrate that way. Life seems challenging in Africa. A lot of men want to escape the challenges faced in life and come abroad through marriage. That is not a bad idea. But the real thing is, if that is just your primary motive, you might be sacrificing your life in the altar of the temporary, because you put yourself in a lifelong situation where you can have a challenge for life. Sometimes because of those, we have children and we add more victims to the scenario. So what I'm going to be sharing in this video, I've actually gotten this from our men. The first challenge these men face is inadequate support during their transition into their new environment. Keep in mind that these husbands have to stay at home to wait for their status to materialize. And while they are waiting at home, the woman who has already been living abroad is the one who works, pays the bill, feeds herself and feeds the man, runs around to take care of the man's status, and all the man does is stay at home. And this is where the challenge comes. Now the challenge comes in here because most African men are not usually trained to anchor the household management as a support to the woman. So when the woman runs all day, work double shifts, pay the bills, feed the man, she comes back home and the man still expects her to carry on the household chores, household management, and still feed him. And just seeing the man sitting like that, it becomes really overwhelming. And sometimes this disrespect creeps in, and nagginess creeps in, and her attitude becomes condescending because she doesn't comprehend how she can be running out all day and this man is just sitting in the house waiting for her to show up and assume her woman's duty. So men, are you ready to go through this baptism? Can you handle it? Because the women become really arrogant about this, because they were expecting to marry and launch into their honeymoon, and the honeymoon has been transformed into them bearing their task and bearing another man. It's not that honeymoon because the weight is on one side. They don't get support from the man as a husband. They are not in honeymoon, and at the same time they are overwhelmed with what they have to do to put this man in place. So a lot of times the men do not stand that disrespect, that arrogance, and the nagginess. The second challenge that men go through here is that even if the men love the women, that love is put to test. That love is tried, and most of the time the men, they fail this test. The love evaporates into thin air, and sometimes the men vamos, they disappear into thin air, they run away from the woman. Even if they are a Christian, their Christian faith is tried at this moment, because men have very low tolerance for disrespect. And the women, when the women are overwhelmed, when they are not getting support, the way they respond is they nag. Some women who have not developed themselves, they nag, they disrespect, they scream, grumble, they are arrogant. It's not really there to disrespect the man, but it's a way of laying her claim on the table. So there's that misunderstanding, chaos. And if you are a Christian, trust me, your Christian faith will be tried here, and your marriage foundation might be unstable somehow if Christ does not intervene for you. And in the other hand, men are complaining that when men are the one who bring their wives abroad, the men see into it that the women are stable. They keep the women at home, follow up their documentation, update their status until they have their footing on the ground. Then the thing is that the men also understand that this is the responsibility of the man to take care of his family, take care of the woman. When it is the man, they are tolerant about that. They like to come back home and see the woman. And when the men are the one who leave the woman in the house, when they come back, guess what? food is ready, house is clean, laundry is done, and the men are happy about that. So it's not the same thing when the women leave the men in the home. When they come back, the house is dirty, the dishes are in the sink, food is not cooked, the man is waiting for the woman to come and cook. But so also understand that when men leave women at home, it's not the same as when women leave men at home. So that is why it is easier for men to bring their wives from Africa and handle the situation than women bringing the husbands from Africa and they get traumatized. The fourth challenge here is that either you become a homekeeper or a housemaid, where you handle the house chores, manage the house to keep your woman happy. But most of the time, women are very picky, very nitty, very naggy, and very, very specific on what they want. Maybe when you do the dishes, it's not the way the woman wants the dishes to be done. Maybe you cook the food, it's not the way the woman wants the cook. So whatever you do, there will be some complaint creeping in. It's not in every situation, and I'm not also saying that none of this kind of marriage succeed. But for the most part, I've talked to men. Some men have actually run away from these marriages and gone back to Africa because it is not tolerated. And I asked men, what statistics of these marriages work? They told me that 99% of the marriages fail, which means that only 1% of this kind of marriage works. So if you are in Africa, I'm telling you, and you have in mind that you want to marry and immigrate, think about it if you are willing to sacrifice your life that way, because the scars remain for life. Usually, sometimes there is love. There is all the good intention to make the marriage work. But the circumstances that surround, the conditions that surround this scenario that we are talking about here are usually kind of challenging. And will you go through? It's a question of personality now. It's a question to choose if you want to do that. Some people go through, they think that, well, I will escape and I will make my life. But most likely, some people escape with scars. You escape and leave a pregnancy behind, or you escape and leave a child behind, or you escape and there is some ties and they keep tracking you down with alimony, how do they call it? Child support, stuff like that. You have that badge on your back. I look up on YouTube. Men are actually not saying anything about this, but it is something that is eating up, especially men who have married in this way. If you are a woman and you want to marry in Africa, make sure that you develop your personality to a point where you can step up the game and not nag and not be arrogant and actually support the man without complaining. But how many women can do that? How many women can tolerate that? If you are struggling in life and you want to make it in life, an immigration marriage is one of your options. You might want to rethink. Or if you are abroad, you want to marry a man in Africa just because you think that it's easy to get a man in Africa and bring them over here. Most of the time when these men come, they flee. Most of the time, even you yourself, you might not be prepared enough to deal with that scenario. So I'm encouraging people that we have more talents than we think. We should stop thinking that marriage will come as a salvation to our status, social status, career status. Marriage is something ordained by God and is not something to play games with it or substitute it for wealth, money, work, or anything. When that is the primary focus, it might affect your life even beyond. People have committed suicide. People have killed others. We've heard gunshot, men killing their wives, wives killing their spouses, and a lot of these things are happening just because of the challenges that they face and they cannot handle. And if you are a woman abroad and you want to attract the right man, I have a video here on how to attract the right man. Not use your illegal status abroad to bring a husband because you might not be able to handle it. I'm not also saying that you might not handle it. If you can, go ahead. If you are a man abroad or in Africa who is struggling in life and think that you can only make it abroad, I also have an ebook that I've written. How to unlock your maximum potential. I'll leave the link in the description box. If you are in an immigration marriage and things are working out for you, we would like you to share. Leave in the comment section. How is your immigration marriage working? If you are a woman who brought your husband from Africa and your marriage is perfect and happy and blooming and shining and lovely, please, we want you to share to us, how did you survive this challenging period? And if you are also a woman and it did not work out for you, let us also know in the comment section. What happened? How was it? How was your experience? Because each experience is different. Thank you so much for watching. And until then, see you in our next video.